This is the ABQ Business Podcast with your host, Jason Rigby. Each week we'll interview visionary business leaders to inspire the creative power and spirit that's in every entrepreneur. Discussing strengths, weaknesses, strategies, systems, and the problems we can all solve together for a new future for local small business.
What is up, everyone? I know we're still trying to figure out who the President of the United States is, but tonight on the show, and this is going to be really relevant, we're going to talk about this with small business owners. I have Lil Roberts. How are you doing, Lil?
Hey, I'm doing awesome. Thank you, Jason. Thanks for having me on tonight.
And from what I say, you're in Florida right now?
Yes, in beautiful South Florida.
Yeah, I originally am from Jacksonville, Florida. That's where I was born. I lived 13 years in Brooksville.
Wow, I know the area. That's a small little town.
Yeah, we used to go to, I have really fond memories as a child. We used to go to this place, and I need to go back because I haven't been there since a child. It was called Fort Lauderdale Park, I think.
Yeah, I haven't been there, but you're close to Tampa, right? Which is just gorgeous.
Yeah, it was right near Tampa. Is it real nice and sunny there?
It's absolutely beautiful, and we've done really well considering the hurricane season has gone through the regular alphabet and then a good part of the Greek alphabet, and we haven't had a single storm.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, because I can remember those times when I lived down there. So you're the CEO and founder of Xendoo. And one of the things that I saw when I was doing a little bit of research on you is that you saw that there was a shortfall when it came to the accounting industry. Can you go a little bit into small business owners and how you decided to disrupt this industry with Xendoo?
Yeah, absolutely. So, serial entrepreneur and just like to solve problems. And one of the biggest pain points in all the various businesses, I've had about 8 exits. And in all the various businesses I've been in is the accounting side that the, traditional CPA industry is one where they haven't kept up with technology and they don't really understand what a small business owner goes through. And not to say anything bad. I mean, they're all wonderful human beings, but small business owners need to have a partner in the accounting industry that moves at the same speed that they move at, right? The speed of business today. And so when I exited my last business, which was in manufacturing, and I did a personal scorecard as to what did I want to do next, I said, what's been the biggest pain points in my career? And it was accounting. And when I took a look at it, I said, this is an industry that needs to be reshaped. There's 3 major pain points in the industry, and that is that the pricing's unpredictable, that they haven't kept up with technology, and that the CPAs just go missing. You try to get a hold of your CPA, and in most cases, a week goes by, 2 weeks go by, they just ghost you. And so I thought, how can we bring transparency and technology and give small business owners financial peace of mind? And so a lot of people are like, well, how are you doing that? You're not even a CPA or an accountant. And you don't need to be, right? I have great, incredible team members that are CPAs and accountants, and we're bringing all those things to small business owners to give them transparency and their financials at their fingertips.
Yeah, and when I was on your website, one of the things that that you talked about and I really liked is having, and it's usually elusive in this community, is having predictable pricing. What caused you, as you were looking at this, having that transparency just out in the open? What caused you to come up with that?
Yeah, well, and again, I'm not picking on an industry, but it kind of felt to me in all my years in business that the more money I made, the higher the price went on the accounting, and that it wasn't like they were doing anything differently. And I thought, it must be a course that they teach in like the last year of getting your CPA, that just however much the customer is making, that's how you gauge the pricing. And I'm like, it shouldn't be that way. It should be really not a black box like you get with the attorneys and you get with the traditional industry on CPA or even construction industry. It should be that you know what you're getting into, you know what the deliverables are. And that's really what Uber did to the taxi cab. And I'm not comparing us by any means to Uber. We're just getting started. But when you bring transparency to the customer, that is what I believe the greatest accountability that you can provide.
No, and one of the things that I see, and I think a lot of people are seeing, especially in this industry, is the ability to be able to get things done quickly and not have to wait, and then having this assurance, that every month I'm going to get these reports. I'm going to get, I don't want to get too heavy in this because I want to get into your story and because I know you've gone through a lot of businesses and you've seen a lot of success. And I kind of want to, dive into that a little bit. But what are some of the things whenever you look at being predictable, not just in your pricing, but one of the things that you talk about is speed to financial numbers delivered with
Yep.
technology. What does
Yep.
that look like, and how are you using technology to disrupt?
Yeah, totally. Okay, so most business owners can totally feel the pain of the month ends, and if you have any type of manufacturing or cost of goods or just anything, you don't know what your true profit is, right? Because you have payables out there a little bit. And so for me, I would, chase my CPA every month to try to get my numbers by the 20th of the following month. And I'm like, that's not good enough. You need to know what your numbers are. You need to know what your profitability is right away, because you need to be able to adjust so you don't continue to have those same areas of leakage of profit. So we deliver financial statements by the fifth business day of the following month. And we do that for 65% of our customers. The customers that don't get them are the ones that don't return the calls or don't give us the visibility that we need on answers to be able to produce that. So the reason why that's key, Jason, is that think about it. If you're a pizza shop owner, right? And all of a sudden it's October and the pizza oven goes out, and pizza ovens are about $50,000. And the pizza oven goes out,
Right.
you're trying to decide, do you repair it or you replace it, right? If you don't know what your true profitability is in your company and what your tax is going to be that you're going to have to pay the government, you can't make that decision on should I repair the pizza oven or buy one. If you've got 100 grand in profit, you're going to pay 30,000 to the government in taxes. You'd be better off buying a pizza oven, because a third of that is going to be an automatic tax write-off that you would have paid in taxes that now you invest in your business. And so that was one of the things that made me very passionate about doing what we're doing by providing that visibility to small business owners and giving them access to the numbers, because small business owners are the most underserved out of any industry when it comes to financial. Business owners start a business because they're passionate about whatever it is they're doing, and they just want to grow it, and most of them don't pay attention to the numbers. And the details are where it's at to make the profitability and to be able to sell that business later on for something that's very valuable for you.
Yeah, I love that. And you use the word passion, and I know that goes hand in hand with entrepreneurship. When did that begin to happen for you? Because, like I said, you're a successful entrepreneur. When did that start? Were you in school? Was it in elementary, high school, or was it after college?
Mm. I guess it was probably elementary school that, yeah, most entrepreneurs will say that we're unemployable, and we just see the world a little bit differently, right? And look, you're an entrepreneur. You have a podcast. You've done different things in your life, and you see the world in a different way. You'd mentioned to me that you came to Albuquerque and there wasn't a podcast there. You saw a problem and you solved it, right? And that's what entrepreneurship is. And so I'd say probably elementary school. What I used to do is I would sell off pinball games. That was probably my first business. I would go and I'd play pinball. I'd put a quarter in and I'd rack up all the games, and other people wanted, to play. And so I'd sell them off for 75 cents. And then when they lost the game, yeah, and then they lost the games, and then I'd put a quarter in and I'd rack it up. And, end of the day, I'd be up $4 or $5. And, but you're a kid, right? You're 10 years old, 12 years old. And most entrepreneurs will have a story very similar to that early on they were doing those types of things. And I think at the core, it's just that you're a problem solver. You see the world in the way that you're always looking for a problem to solve.
Yeah, no, I love that. And when you begin to go through the years of being in business and different, one of the things that we're seeing right now is a lot of uncertainty, especially what's going on now, in this political climate. And I know you've gone through, different businesses. What can you speak to about uncertainty to small business owners going through what they're going through right now?
Yeah, it's certainly something that we have never faced in our lifetime. So it's a little bit different than the traditional uncertainty. Um, first, what I would say to small business owners is that when there's uncertainty, there's opportunity. So that's the time that we have to dig the deepest, and we have to say that the glass is overflowing. It's not half full. You have to say with uncertainty, okay, how do I take a step back? How do I look at this, and how do I find the opportunities? Because the greatest opportunities come in the greatest times of uncertainty, and we are in one of those right now. We did an article for Entrepreneur, and from that, a reporter from the Netherlands had reached out, and they said, what do you think the greatest challenge is facing small business owners in regards to the election? And I said, the election is just a complication of the greatest challenge facing business owners right now. The greatest challenge for business owners is the pandemic. It's been a century. None of us have ever lived through this. There's no playbook for it. But what we do know is that 100 years ago, they had the same or a similar type thing, and the world survived, and, and people found opportunity, and they found their way through. And I think that as small business owners, because we're all small business owners, right? I think as small business owners, we have to take a step back, and we have to find that resolve in ourselves. And we have to say, we will find a way through this and look for it.
Yeah, and every time I see uncertainty, I really look at the ability to be able to lead and have strong leadership. What are some of the things that you have seen, leading your team and leading, you as being as a business leader? What are some of the things that you're seeing right now with your leadership skills? Some of the things that maybe you're seeing leaders need to work on, and then some of the things that you're seeing that is being successful right now.
Great question. I think I know as leaders, it is our job to provide stability. And now more than ever, we need to provide stability to our team members, the team that trusts to work for us and to take the journey of whatever business you're in. So it's important to how do you provide stability as a leader? You provide stability through communication, through transparency, through being even keeled, through looking for the positive in everything, and having an unwavering sense of we will get through this. And so I think on the leadership side, it behooves all of us to provide that to our team, because when we provide that to our team, it's going to empower them to go home at night and to provide that for their family. And so that's important. And then I think that to find your way through right now in these times of uncertainty is that you have to focus on the things that are under your control, and those things are do the basics in business, right? Do blocking and tackling, take good care of your customers, figure out ways to be creative. If you're a restaurant and you want to survive this, then you need to revamp your menu. You need to bring down your menu where it has less ingredients that could go bad. So you're not trying to provide this big, robust menu, but you've scaled it down. You take your popular items and you communicate with your customers, right? You have a loyalty program and you collect their emails and you put in technology. You take a step back and you make sure that you have a website and you have a portal where they can order online, and that you stay in communication through social media. So I think all those things are important to find your way through.
Yeah, no, I love that. And one of the things that I know that you are particular, and you've talked about this, on your LinkedIn and with different articles and different podcasts you're on, is strategy. And you just give some for a restaurant right there. When it comes time to like look at a new playbook and revamp things, how important is strategy?
Oh, it all starts with strategy, right?
Right.
And, if we talk about your podcast, when you came to Albuquerque and there wasn't a podcast there, you took a look and said, what does this community need? And what are you passionate about, right? And the intersection of those two things was your strategy for launching your podcast. And so it is the core, it's the base level, it's the blueprint of your business.
Mm,
And you have to start with strategy. You want to build a house, you need the architectural plans, you need the blueprint, and then you need to put in the foundation that is under the dirt, right? You have to do the lines for the plumbing and all that. And the same thing happens with business. And so right now, this has been a tremendous opportunity that most people don't even realize that when the pandemic hit, the world stopped and everybody had a chance to take a deep breath and say, okay, what should I be doing in my business?
right.
What do I need to do to revamp my business to where I'm going to be part of this new world?
No, and I think whenever you talk strategy and you're talking about strategize for opportunity in this uncertainty. When we look at small businesses and we see the United States as whole, and I know you can speak to this, and the government's looking at, and they have all these different programs for small business and all that. One of the things that I saw that you were talking about is how small businesses are being played as pawns with the government.
Yeah, so true. Um, yeah, they absolutely are. Uh, it's, yeah, I can go in so many directions with this. So, it's,
We're straight up on the podcast, so just however you want to, whatever direction you want to go, that'll be awesome.
yeah, you got it. So, small business is the total pawns of what's happening in the election cycle, right? This whole thing with, and I did a couple of sessions with a couple congressional offices through a program about a month ago, talking about the triple P and how can government help small business. And I got to tell you, it's so disconnected. And the reason why it's so disconnected is they have no idea the journey that the small business owner goes through. And small business is the backbone of the US. When you look at all these big companies and you look at the government, it's the collective small business community that is the biggest employer of all of the people in the United States collectively, right? And so the pond is because they're playing with the plans to come out and help small businesses, but they made it just a bureaucratic process where they wanted to get all the other things approved instead of just coming out and saying, hey, small businesses that are, say, 20 or less employees, just take a look at what their payroll is and give them 2 months of payroll. Don't make them jump through all the hoops where most small business owners can't even understand the paperwork. And it's just been a a ridiculous time on the banking side. To give you an idea, because we service small business owners, so we have small business owners in 45 states, and we have small businesses in 12 other countries that have businesses in the U.S. And here's what we saw, Jason, and it is sickening. So the government empowers the banks to go ahead and dole out the triple P. The banks realize that it takes the same amount of time to give a small business a $50,000 triple P loan as it does to give a bigger business a $500,000 triple P. And the banks are making about 3% on it. So your big business banks like Bank of America, Wells, Chase, and all of them, they decide to cherry pick which business owners they want to help. And so the smaller micro businesses weren't getting the loans that they needed more than the bigger businesses to survive. And it was the community banks that came in and
Yeah.
that were taking care of the small business owners. And the fact that the government did it through this bureaucratic way was ridiculous. The government should have said, if you're a small business owner of this size, you don't need to go to the bank to get the loan. We already know what you're paying. We already know what your payroll is because everything's interconnected, and just automatically give them a check. And that would have been the right way to do it.
Oh yes, 100%. And it's just sad, I've watched here locally, mom and pops and these really small businesses just, imploding after months and months of this. And then, you can walk into Costco and they're having record, profits. And, some of these small businesses had to close, but then these other ones were considered essential. And how that was, brought about, I have no idea. But it's sad that it's not. Why do you think they were so reactive instead of being proactive with small businesses? Do you think that they were just because they were disconnected?
Yeah, I think it's disconnected because I got to tell you, just having the opportunity to talk to the 4 congressional offices, it was amazing to me how disconnected they are from the life that all of us small business owners live. And it was almost like they couldn't believe what they were hearing. And it was a group of us, a panel of us that were informing them. And I think it's just a different world for them and they don't understand it. And it happens. It's not anyone's fault, but it happens. But the problem is that they're controlling the purse strings. They're controlling both sides of the equation, right? They're controlling the area where, hey, you have to shut down, which is not anything that any of us have ever lived. And so they're saying you have to shut down. And then they're controlling on, yes, we're going to help you, but in this way, and we're going to put this third party in between.
Yeah, and something like that. Whenever you see, I've always, whether you're Republican, Democrat, third party, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. When you get this heavy bureaucracy and you start getting these third parties involved, it seems to always be something. It seems to be just a mess up, and nothing that is for the end user at the end.
Yeah. Well, look, there's no clear direction on the triple P for the forgiveness. So the clock's ticking. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people got money. And now they have no way through on how to apply for the forgiveness because they continuously are changing the triple P forgiveness application. It's been through 3 revisions and none of them are clear.
Yeah, and that just shows you, now more than anything, especially when it comes to leadership, we need clarity. And it seems from the very beginning on both sides, from the very beginning, everything's been divisive and unclear and no vision, no focus.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But it on the positive side, if we say, okay, all of that aside, which is really hard to do because there's been so many small businesses that have gone out. I think I read somewhere that it was 18% of small businesses have shuttered during
Mm.
this time. But what we're about to see in the next year is we're going to see where a lot of corporate people were laid off and they're going to take their 401ks and there's going to be a resurgence of small business. And you'll see a lot of franchise groups pop up and you'll see other, mature franchise groups that will start to grow again. And that's going to come from that people are leaving corporate America either by choice or they're being laid off and they're going to cash in 401s and we're going to see that surge come back in small business.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. It'll be like hopefully it'll be like a tsunami wave.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I hope so. I think that's what we're going to see. So, um, if you think about it, even in during coronavirus, right? We how many businesses popped up with just solving problems of putting up
Yeah.
plexiglass in grocery stores, or triple or PPE goods, or vending machines that are giving out masks and just crazy or like look there I read the other day, I'm sure you probably saw it as well, where MIT has come out with a algorithm device that can tell by your cough, which is inaudible to the human ear, if you have COVID, and even if you're asymptomatic, and they're testing it in London now and it's 99.5% accurate.
I love that. Isn't that funny that it could be almost more accurate than the testing?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right? But and off of technology and off of something that is, a device that's inaudible. So we're seeing it move. I mean, you get that device, do you even need the vaccine, right? Or do you need the regular testing? Um, so it's amazing. We're truly seeing things in our lifetime that are one of a kind. Even what's happening with the election is something that is I'm going to go out on a limb and be a little bold here, but it's fascinating. If you can step outside of the circle and not have not plant a flag in the ground, right, and
Mm.
just say, okay, isn't this interesting? And it is.
No, I think, putting a positive side on it, everybody, maybe because of the pause in COVID that, people got involved, and you're seeing young Americans that are voting, and you're seeing, and a lot of people think of it as being a bad thing, but it just shows that us as Americans, that we're completely, it's almost we're 50-50 divided, in our politics. But I'm always reminded of my father, the neighbor that we had. My dad was an old fashioned from South Georgia, like old school Democrat, conservative Democrat type, Baptist, all that. And the neighbor next to us was, one of the, you always called them like a city slicker Republican, but they were best of friends, and they would argue politics every once in a while, sit across the fence and talk, but there was always this respect for each other. And I think that's something that we need to regain and look at again and understand that, we're all Americans and that we can move forward in this technology and innovation that we have. And, this, we're fighting COVID viruses, whatever may come along, but we have this brilliant, like MIT, we have this brilliant scientific community and medical community that if we can all get together and be united, we can overcome just about anything, any adversity.
Yeah, true. What do you think it's going to take to get there? Because, for the last, what, 20 years, we have been a country where it's been 50-50, right? And how do we get back to either that mutual respect, or how do we get back to a country that when a candidate comes along for election, at least there's 65-70% that are leaning one way?
Yeah, I think, and this being in the technology industry with decentralization that's coming on board, whether it's blockchain or, there's a lot of, you have the internet, which has become more, I mean, now they've had, politicians been caught in all kinds of things with, cameras or being caught off guard. So I think this, and I don't mean to use a buzzword, but this transparency that's coming out, I mean, we're going to be at a point where you're not going to need a bank, to purchase things, and you can buy something in Italy as well as you can. If you use Bitcoin, you can buy it, anywhere, and then it'll be tracked and have a ledger that goes with it. So I think not the political system, but the technology and those entrepreneurs around the world is going to open this up. And then now they're going to have, like they are with small business, they're going to have to react to what's happening with decentralization.
Yeah, very interesting. Have you been watching Bitcoin? I mean, this week it's gone from, in the last 10 days, from 11,000 to 15.
I know, yeah, and I think it's become something. I was reading an article the other day, and they were saying hedge fund managers were purchasing it to try to show a return, for investors. And it's just funny how it's coming along in this format of, I think, eventually over time, I think it will be a gold standard, like how we look at the gold. I think something like that, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of those. But there's one thing I want to talk about because I think that's really, really important and something that I know you know about. And something that a small business owner, I want to shift it to this, and that is value. And I think this will go along with what we're talking about, having mutual respect. When you looked at the companies that you have founded or you ran, how did you look at when you wanted to put values into that company?
So, values internally or externally?
No, internally. I know externally you can because even just on your website you can see value. I mean, and I'm not talking like the values like having having transparency in the pricing, having speed to delivering the technology, and then you're talking about, issues with CPAs and how you've handled that. How can people be more, where they're expressing their values, not internally with the team, but externally with the customer?
Yeah. So I think a couple of things. My belief has always been, and I love building teams. I love to bring people together to feel like they can climb the highest mountain. And when you can do that, it's almost magic. It's like it's such an honor and I think such a privilege to be part of a group of people that you can bring together to row in the same direction, but to feel that nothing is impossible, right? And so I've always been a proponent of that if you take great care of your staff, that they're going to take great care of the customers.
Right.
And it comes in a lot of different ways. People, it's not just about money for people. They want to feel that they're appreciated. So, there's a lot of little things that I've done in all the companies over time. And to date myself a little bit, back in the day, you would actually hand somebody a paycheck, right?
Right.
And even though it was, it became then what was auto deposit and it was a voucher, I would always make a point that when the time came every other week to hand out checks, that I would go hand them out and that I would, hand it to the person and thank them because it was an opportunity to make sure that at least if it, hopefully they've been thanked many times prior to that over the course of the 2 weeks, but that definitely for me personally, that they were being thanked for the work that they were doing and how they were taking care of the customers. And little things like on their birthdays, writing them a card and buying them lunch, birthday cakes, for a lot of people that, especially in Florida, where their families are transient, so their families
Mhm.
are in other states, they may not have anyone that's singing that happy birthday and giving them a cake. And so, of course, as the companies get big, you just have to do it once a month and include everybody's birthday for that. But it's a lot of those little things, and even down to, we all can have a couple of bad customers that disrespect the team. And for me, part of my value system is that if a customer is rude to one of the team, and as long as the team, keeps their cool, and if a customer's cursing at them or doing something like that, and that doesn't happen very often, but a customer could have a bad day and something else could have triggered them, but that you stand up for the team member and that you call that customer and you say, hey, we appreciate your business, but please, we can't have you talking to our team in that manner. And lots of times when you hold somebody accountable, both parties are appreciative, right? The customer has
Yes,
the
I love.
opportunity, yeah, and so they appreciate that. And I think that as business owners, when we're given the privilege that we're born uh, with the ability to own a business and to solve problems, that I take it very seriously. It's our responsibility to provide a stable environment where there is respect for everybody on the team, and that it's your job as a business owner to provide an environment where your team can learn, continue to learn and grow in your business, and that they feel that they have a stable environment. And when you can provide that, as they say, culture, you can't, you don't, you can't say what the culture is. It creates itself, but it
Right.
creates itself by actions, and by actions that come from the leaders in business. And then that translates to the customers. We're very much a customer-centric organization. All of my team loves small business. Our customers, just in the last week, we had two situations where we had one situation that's a customer that sent our team Cheryl's cookies. I think out of the Northeast they are, and they're not cheap. Sent them a big batch of Cheryl's cookies just to
Oh,
thank
that's
them.
awesome.
Yeah, amazing, to thank them for the work they do. And then we had somebody who's not even a customer that called and had a problem with Zero. We do bookkeeping for small businesses on either Zero or QuickBooks. And this person had a problem with Zero, and they called us to see if we could help them out. And we helped them out because, part of my BHAG, right, big, hairy, audacious goal, is that with this business, I want to help 100,000 small business owners on their journey. It doesn't mean 100,000 small business owners are going to become customers, but if they call us and we can't solve their problem, instead of saying no, we should be able to guide them or refer them or help them along their journey. And in this situation, one of our team was living that and helped the customer with their zero. And it wasn't a customer, a potential customer with their zero, and they didn't want to have monthly bookkeeping, which is what we offer. And that person sent Anthony, a box of barbecue sauce because that's what their business is: an apron, a hat, and a whole bunch of barbecue sauce.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And when you see that, it's magic. And you have 28,000 small business owners that listen to your podcast that are in Albuquerque, and they all have that opportunity with their team to build that same type of culture and to take care of their staff in the same way, who will then turn around, and it's the pebble in the lake, right? The ripple, who will then turn around and take care of their customers.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's amazing. And whenever you see a customer-centric business like this, and you see that culture that's established, and then you see yourself building this team that's enabling that, as a founder, when you look at building a team, what are some of the core tenets that you look at? Because I think there's a lot of people that are having to do, whether they're outsourcing or whether they're looking at I've talked to several business leaders and they're trying to hire, and then in this climate, they're having to have people work at home and they're finding out people are enjoying that. So, in this environment, how would you build a team?
Well, I think everything starts with a scorecard. So you can't build a great team unless you know what you need, right? So it comes down to, it's easy for us as business owners when we do an interview, we fall in love with the people,
Right.
because there's something about them that feels familiar, or we like them, or they have a story that we think, oh gosh, we can help them. And I think that that's a trap that we all fall into, and we want to hire everybody. And so a core thing to do, and there's a great book, it's called The Who by Jeffrey Smart. And I highly recommend it for people to read. But you need to build a scorecard, excuse me, for what is it that you need for that role. So you need to know, what are the responsibilities of the role, what are the skills that somebody needs, and then you need to write the soft skills. What type of human do you need to have for that type of role? Do they need to be logical? Do they need to be emotional? One of my favorite interview questions that I'll ask people is, I'll say, if I come to your house and I look in your closet, what am I going to see? Right?
Mm.
Let me ask you that. If I come to your house and I look in your closet, what am I going to see?
Oh, right now, yeah, you would see lots of shoes, because I collect Nike shoes. You would see um, organized clothes because I'm kind of real particular on that, and a ton of jeans, polos, all like organized completely. And then up on the top, I was in the Marine Corps, so of course this is kind of controversial, but knives, guns, stuff like that.
Cool. Very cool. Okay. So in your clothes, they're organized. So are they organized by short sleeve, long sleeve?
No, I do everything. Even my big bookcase is all my books and my clothes are organized by color.
By color? So do you start out like with the lights and then move to the darks?
Yeah, that's kind of how I do it. Yeah, I would have the lights, and then it would go lights are from the right side, darks are to the left.
Perfect. So when I ask that question in interviews, right, depending on the role of the company. So for bookkeeping, I need people that are going to be extremely organized, like even like within subsets. So I'll have people tell me that, oh, you're going to find that if it's a female, they'll say, oh, I have my going out tops, and then I have my everyday tops, and then I have my dresses. And then I'll ask them, uh, and they'll go, well, I really organize. I even organize by color. And then I'll ask them, like I asked you, well, do you put all the colors together, or light to dark and all that? And if it's a guy, same thing, like they'll say their pants and their shirts. And what you find is that if the role requires heavy organization, you want somebody like that, right? And
Right.
if it's a customer service role, which is multitasking, any kind of customer service role, you need to be able to have the unexpected happen. You need to be able to multitask. So if you hire somebody that is ultra organized in that manner, and if I don't ask about the closet, I'll ask about the refrigerator, and I'll have people tell me everything's facing the same way and drinks are on the top, and right down to like you wouldn't believe how organized they could be, right? And that's not going to be somebody who's going to fit in a customer service role, but they're going to be great in a role that's super logical. And so you have to get into the mindset of the human, or behavioral questions. I'll ask them, what do you do on a Saturday? And just not questions that are your general. It's behavioral questions of to get to know the person. If I need somebody who has a sense of urgency, who's active and energetic, I want to hear that on a Saturday they're running errands. And I'll ask them, well, how do you set out how you're going to do your errands? And I want to hear that they map it out, like right down to where it's right turns and the furthest distance first, and it gets you an idea to understand their mindset. And I think that it all starts with you have to first figure out as a business owner what skill sets and what personality traits you need in the human, and then interview and check that off against your list.
No, I love that. And I think that's just being so intentional whenever you're asking these questions. And like you said, you're throwing out these psychological questions and finding, everyday intent. And I love that. One of the things that I look at when I see Xendoo, and I look through your website, look through all your different pages and stuff like that. And getting back to values, I guess there was like one word that stood out, and that was integrity. How yeah, whenever you see Xendoo, how are you looking at that, and how did you intentionally put that out there in every page on your website?
Um, so Great question. And I love the fact that you're giving me all this feedback about our website, because we just released, this is V3, and we just released it and we've been tweaking the messaging. And if you're on it, there's an area that, I absolutely love it. Tell me your thoughts, but it's on the bookkeeping page and you go all the way to the bottom and it says, fire your mother, your neighbor, or fire your mother, your neighbor, your neighbor's niece or nephew, and yourself. You deserve to take your time back. But it's, I think it just comes from how we look at it, right? That's who we are, and I'm happy to hear it's coming out in the words on the website. We love small business owners. We believe that they are one of the largest populations of being underserved in the financial industry, and we want to be their partner to give them financial visibility, and we want to be true to our word, and we want transparency, and we do it in a lot of ways. We do it where we tell them, what the package is, what the price is, what they're going to get, what the deliverables are, and we live by that. And it's important to us. And look, we want it on the other side too. We want customers. We want to attract customers that think like us. I think that business is naturally very hard, but there are things that you can do as a business owner that can help you along the way to make it easier and to make it more enjoyable. And that is understand who your ideal customer is, and then go out and attract those customers. Because when that happens, it's magical. Then it's not work. It's that you are just having so much fun that you can't even believe you're getting paid to do it.
Yeah, and I think that like shines through. I mean, from on your website, from the people that you used, on that with the actual businesses and the names. I just, but when I use the word integrity, I looked at it, as not just you displaying integrity, but having proper books, having it done right, having and you have something on here which I really love, You say we partner with the best to deliver you the best. And it's just, that whole statement right there alone is like, I need to be the best that I can be. And I don't, as a small business entrepreneur, I don't want to deal with bookkeeping. So why don't I look to somebody so that I can have integrity in this? Because I know deep down inside, I'm not doing the best that I should do for that. And so it's allowing me to, and I have this nagging feeling of it not, you see what I'm saying? That's what your website came out as integrity both ways. And
Yeah.
that's what I loved about it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I got to tell you, 25% of small business owners are behind on their books, and it affects their lives in so many ways
Mhm.
that they can't get a loan. Like, this is the ideal time to be refinancing your house, right? Or buying a house. And if your books aren't up to date, when you go to the bank to get a loan, they're going to say, we need the last 3 months financial statements and we need your last 2 years tax returns. And 25% of small business owners don't have that. And we can catch them up. We catch them up in lightning speed. In 2-3 weeks' time, we will get people caught up that are behind 2-3 years. And then their life is nicer because they don't have, like you said, the nagging feeling that you're behind and you don't know what your real you're off the grid in a way. If you don't have your taxes up to date, you're off the grid. And you'd be amazed how much money people leave on the table by not having their books done monthly and understanding the finances in their business, because they don't think about tax write-offs until March when you're doing last year's taxes in March. You can't take your tax deductions in. You got to take them all year long. And so that's what I love about the business. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a CPA. Actually, Jason, I'm not college educated, and I've had a lot of businesses. Um, it's about finding the right people. We have phenomenal CPAs, incredible accountants, and I bring the technology side to it that allows us to be able to give what we do at such a reasonable price. Um, you know, People pay $300-400 a month, and it includes their tax returns. And typically, they're paying an accountant if they're doing bookkeeping monthly. $600, $700, $800 a month, and it's not including tax returns. And we just want people to, have a better life, keep their money in their pocket, and grow their business.
No, I love that. It's so it makes it feel simplistic, and I think that's awesome. One of the things, I just have a couple more questions because I know we're getting on the top of the hour, but one of the things that I know that you're an expert in is not just a strategy, but executing, like having execution when you're looking at doing different things, especially when it comes to, whether you started Xendoo or these other businesses, and I've read a lot of different books on execution and stuff like that. What are you seeing that small business owners are failing, or how they can get better when it's time to grit it out, hustle, and execute?
Yeah. You be relentless. You know, it be relentless and be water. Water finds a way.
Mm,
And if you can be water, when you feel like you're hitting a wall and you can't find the way through, take a step back, take a deep breath, and look inside yourself, because you know the way through, and just be water and find it. And, I want to say don't give up, but don't give up smartly. Like, sometimes business owners will be in the wrong business and they don't realize that they're in the wrong business. And they'll spend so much time because they're doing something for the wrong reason. If you're in business just to make money, you're not going to be as successful as you could be if you were in business doing something you're passionate about. And when
yeah,
you're passionate about something and you're not thinking about money, those are the people that are most successful. Those are the people that get it done because they just keep moving.
No, that's so brilliant because a lot of people don't want, we can read all the books we want on execution, but if you're doing something that you're not passionate about, that could be the reason why you're not executing. And then you're just blaming yourself, because you're procrastinating and not wanting to do it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And look, if you're not willing to work a 36-hour shift for your business, then you may not be in the right business,
Mm,
because that's what it takes. When it gets tough, that's what it takes. And if you're not able to put your head down and really motor through, how can you expect your team to do that?
yes, yeah, that's so true. It's like leading by example, taking 100% responsibility. I love that. Last question, then I want to get into a few things on your LinkedIn bio about you. Last one is, and this is something, this is a big word. And I think, with you saying with this uncertainty, we have opportunity, but this is something that you've done with Xendoo, and that is disruption. What do you, when you hear of that word and you look at going into a business, are you judging it off of how you can disrupt the status quo?
Yes. Um, and this is the first business that I'm doing that for. So my last business was in print manufacturing. It was a wholesale manufacturing, a couple $1 million in equipment. It was great in the old days before technology and the internet came to the industry. And then what happened was you had to change out your equipment too often, and you didn't get the return on investment in it. And by sitting on the wrong side of the union in that industry, and I had to continuously re-engineer the business model, and then I had a successful exit out of it. I said to myself, when it came time for my next business, I did a scorecard exercise that I've helped a lot of my entrepreneurial friends through, and I've given it to them over the years. And I said, you know what? Let me use it on myself. And I went through the scorecard, and as I started to look at all the different opportunities that were in front of me, and I matched them against the scorecard. The scorecard was that what am I most passionate about? It's small business. So I wanted to have a business that was helping small business owners. I love talking to small business owners. I bleed small business. And so I wanted that. I wanted the business to be a technology business that had the ability to scale to 100 million in size, not for the money, for the journey. And I wanted it to, for my own personal growth, I wanted it to be a business that I would have investors in, because I have never done that in all my businesses. I have always built it on my back and the bank's money and my money. And I wanted to take that journey. And what I'll say, Jason, is be careful what you wish for, because having VCs in the company is a great learning experience, but it is pressure beyond the regular pressure of the business just being on your back and the bank's back, because you feel this responsibility of other people's money. Um, and and so we're just having a great time at it. And I looked around at what are the analog businesses out there that needed to be changed. And this was one of them. And I said, you know what? It fits all the boxes. And I typically work, 60, 70 hours a week, and it doesn't feel like work. I love what I do, and I'm having a great time.
I love that. Yeah, that's awesome. So I want to get into a little bit about you, and I know you put a few personal statements on LinkedIn. One says you're an adrenaline junkie. So we talked a little bit about that before the podcast. But what is an adrenaline junkie for you?
So I'm a ledge walker, which means that anything that's on the ledge. So we talked a little bit about jumping out of planes before we got on the podcast. And so, as an example, today I took the day. I haven't taken a day in quite some time, and I took the day and I went racing go karts in Homestead today.
Oh
Uh,
wow!
yeah. And so it was just an amazing day. I belong to an organization called EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. It's a global organization of entrepreneurs, and you share what's in your head and your heart. And so we had a learning event, and sometimes the learning events are great speakers, and sometimes the learning events are adrenaline, and you're with your tribe. So there was 55 of us, socially distanced and with masks, and it was outdoor go-kart racing. And, on hard surface, dangerous. You were suited up and you had rib guards and, full face helmets, and you're out there doing 55, 60 miles an hour. And it was just a great time.
Yeah. Is that the same? Is the EO founder? Because I think I had him on my podcast, like Vern Harnish.
Yes, he's one of the founders. So
Yeah.
Vern, amazing guy, amazing guy. That's awesome that you had him on your podcast. He's just an amazing person.
Yeah, no, yeah, he was I had him right at the beginning of COVID. So we talked about disruption and some of the things that, businesses can do during this time. I had gotten an email from him and he kind of I think he had a Forbes article that he had written about that. So I just emailed him back and asked him if he could come on the podcast and talk about the article. So that was awesome. Another thing you have is that you're an animal lover.
Yes.
So is it dogs, cats, or
Well, my favorite animals are tigers. I would love a white Bengal tiger.
did you watch
Um,
Tiger King?
no, no. I heard though I should watch it, but no, I love tigers. But little white Malteses are my preference. But I, also I love all four-legged animals.
Oh no, that's awesome. Yeah, I have two dogs. I have a rescue and then a little corgi. So,
Oh,
and
great dogs.
the rescue is amazing and beautiful, and she's like perfect. But the corgi's a holy terror. But everybody loves him because he looks so cute.
Yeah, they are adorable. Yeah, I love people, but I have to say I love animals more. How
Yeah.
about you?
Yes. Yeah. That's something too. When I go to the dog park, I'll take them to the dog park, and it's like, okay, I don't want to talk to you owners. I just want to sit here and pet dogs and have them come up and play. And one
I
of the things
love it.
Yeah, one of the things that I love that you had written is that you're a lifelong learner. What does that mean to you, like lifelong learner?
I look to learn from people all the time. Like I've been truly honored to be on this podcast with you, and I've learned a few things from you. And so I look to learn every single day, uh, to learn from others. And it's not just about business; it's about all things. It's how people think. I think that when we can step outside of ourselves and truly understand how people think about things and respect how they think about things, there's always little nuggets that you can glean. And so I personally love to learn, and I look to learn my whole life. It's an important value, core value of mine.
No, I think that's awesome. And I want to speak to somebody right now, and this will be the last question that I ask you. If there's somebody that's 40, 50, 60 years old and they're looking at being an entrepreneur, what some advice can you give to them? Maybe they've semi-retired and they have this passion. Have you seen people that are 40 years and older, be successful in the later part of their life?
Absolutely. There's a lot of people that have built unbelievable businesses, super big businesses, in later parts of their life, because I think that you're more mature and you look through things in a different lens, right? So, Jason, I'll be transparent. I started this business 3 years ago in my mid 50s.
Mm. Yes, and
So,
I think that's awesome because you decided to go into something that you haven't done, and I think this leads to your learning mindset,
yeah,
where you decided to go into something that was totally unique. Like you said, you're not a CPA, you haven't even gone to college, but you've gone to the College of Hard Knocks and understand people, leadership, and team building, and now you're seeing all of this come into fruition from this. And I just love it when people. I don't like to use this word too much, but when people pivot and make a different shift and go out on a ledge, like you were saying that you love to do, but go out on a ledge and do something that they're passionate about.
yeah. And one of my friends entrepreneurs and small business owners, we're everybody is tribal, right? So typically, if you're a doctor, your friends are doctors. If you're a small business owner, most of your friends are small business owners. And a fellow entrepreneur said to me, Lil, you seem to do all of your businesses are different. Like when I look back, I've had product businesses, I've had manufacturing businesses, I've had systems integration businesses. This is a technology business. And I didn't even really realize it until my friend Barry had said that. And all of his businesses are in events, and he has a lot of businesses, but they're all in the same vein. And so for me, I think I just like the variety, and I like the challenge. It's always, is there a bigger mountain to climb? And it's about the journey. And the one thing I would say to people is, don't make it about money. Money will come. Money comes and goes, in people's lives. But what we learn and what we can share with others, nobody can ever take away from us.
No, yeah, and something I learned from you, and I love what you just said, and I wrote it down. Is find a bigger mountain to climb. And I think that's something everyone that has that entrepreneurial spirit should find that bigger mountain to climb. Well, Lil, we're at the top of the hour. I appreciate you being on ABQ Business Podcast. I appreciate you having a heart for small businesses and small business owners and going out and serving them, not only through Xendoo, but through your passion and the ability for you to be able to articulate that to others. And I appreciate you reaching out to me to be on this podcast, and it was truly a wonderful time.
Thank you so much, Jason. Greatly appreciate it. And if any of your listeners would like to just chat, please, if they reach out, I'm happy to chat with them about business. Love to talk about business with them.
And I know you're on LinkedIn, and then it is Xendoo. Can you give the website out for that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's Xendoo, Xendoo.com.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks, Lil. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have a great night.
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, RigbyDigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share. And go to abqpodcast.com. Show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.